you can see those outlines are basically laying out where we are in the model. I can actually overlay that cursor and click this create issues in the bottom right. And now it's going to take a photo of the AR world. I can go ahead and mark this up as we would in ACC. Those issues that we just created have already been assigned, and it's going to give you the same exact perspective. Now, those same issues, I can start evaluating and communicating back to my design teams on how we can remediate these specific items. Hi, my name is Emmanuel Graves, and I'm a Technical Solutions Executive here at Autodesk. And today we're going to be discussing Autodesk and AR, augmented reality, yes, and what it looks like to redefine quality control. So when I was a quality control manager, all I had was a tape measure, a clipboard, and some 2D drawings, and I was really trying to analyze how I'm going to validate all these tests, calibrated reports, and logs, all just from a paper and pencil. Well, now we have the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and that can simplify a lot of your issues. But to take it a step further, we now have augmented reality. This is going to support your ability to actually create issues in the field of your as-built in real time, speaking back to those in the office, and being able to do your QC reports. This is going to support being able to mitigate that rework, also communicate back to the design teams, and handle progress tracking through your assets module. So hopefully that sounds good. Today, we're gonna show you a little bit about how my journey went, so hopefully we can redefine yours. Without further ado, let's hop into the presentation. I'm really excited because Autodesk and AR are now gonna be able to continue redefining quality control. In my experience as a mechanical contractor, as well as a GC, QC was a painful experience. Lots of paperwork forms, especially when you're working with the Corps of Engineers. And now with our Gamma AR ACC Gold partner, we can actually position ourselves to actually make this a very exciting experience. So without further ado, I'll hop into our agenda. My name is Emmanuel Graves, and I am your Technical Solutions Executive today. So let's click next. So for our agenda today, we'll start off with some brief introductions with my partners that have helped me find out all the awesome things I'm excited to share. We'll discuss the challenges that I kind of mentioned. We'll discuss the opportunity as well as the future. We'll have a real live demo, and hopefully that goes as smooth as I practiced it. And then we'll also have a question and answer portion for our presentation. So yeah, I'll actually pass it over to you, Kaner, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself and let us know more about Gamma.
Yeah, sure. Hi to Round, first of all. Today I'm greeting you from London. I'm on the way to New York, actually. I'm just stopping by a Starbucks, just letting you know, just as a quick introduction about me. My name is Jan, actually, so the C is pronounced a bit differently, and I'm one of the co-founders of Gamma AR. My background is in architecture as well as computer-aided architectural design. Have been very deep into that topics for a long, long time. And yeah, at one point it was, I think, the right time to try out 8 years ago what we can do with the current hardware that exists. And that's how we got started with Gamma AR, to basically remove rework from construction. And that's our whole goal with the product. And that's what we are here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kaner. And yeah, Jeremy, if you don't mind just briefly introducing yourself, you're the reason that I got to meet Kaner in the first place.
Hey team, good to be here today. I'm Jeremy. I've been with the Autodesk team for about 5 years now. I'm on the Autodesk Construction Cloud integrations team. So our team works with partners to build out integrations with Autodesk Construction Cloud and then go to market with them.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So with that being said, I'll hop into my presentation format, obviously, for the next 10 or so minutes, and then we'll hop into our demo. So the challenge, surviving QC with a pen, pencil, paper, even those 2D drawings that I physically had to carry out on my, clipboard, and then a tape measure, and my favorite part, no grids. This is what that looked like for me. So top left, that's us trying to visually understand what this pharmaceutical location is going to look like with our 2D drawings printed out on the floor as we evaluate how much MEP we can fit in the ceiling space, so much that we actually had to penetrate our beams and prefabricate those with the steel contractor just to make sure we could fit all those pharmaceutical exhaust fans, et cetera, MEP systems above ceiling in the joist space. Mechanical subcontractor life was fun. If you can look in the middle part, we're actually trying to lay out mop sinks as well as sanitary lines in a mechanical room. We had multiple rooms and everybody was measuring off of a different wall. Surprise. So one guy was measuring off of the center of column because that would be the grid. The other guy was measuring off the as-built. And let me just tell you, inspections didn't necessarily pass the first time because of this. And on the right top corner, you can see this is how I managed my task management. So being able to evaluate what items I needed to RFI, highlighting the drawings for progress tracking, as well as making sure I remembered how much spark plugs costed because I was driving 2 hours to the job site and my truck was getting ran down. So as you can see, this was a pain for me. I was project manager, escalated to BIM coordinator. So I was responsible for all the as-builts that we built and all the risk that I had to take on so that my other subcontractors could utilize that model for layout. So yeah, this only created an opportunity. So the opportunity was basically enhancing QC with VR, GPS coordinates, point layout, and field usage of this thing called the model. A lot of you guys are at Autodesk, so you already know what the model is, but in the field, that was a debate. Like, is it in this folder? Is it this thing? What is it? So VR was my first step into really being able to introduce what I'm so excited about from the digital world to my partners in crime in the field. Being able to show them, hey, we can do prevention through design, fly through this model, evaluate how we're going to plan out, the construction before we actually get on site and start breaking ground. In the middle, you can see we have our field engineer. He's actually laying out those GPS coordinates with point layout. And everything that he did was called gospel to those guys you see to the right there in the field. So they were doing the formworks, they were laying it out, and we actually did self-performed concrete, which we can receive lots of margin for also taking on self-performed concrete as a GC, but there's also a lot of risk because we are the gospel, we're basically essentially taking those survey points and repositioning them to make sure that they align. So a lot of the times that guy in the middle would correct the surveyor of the city. This was an Air Force job site, which means lots of oversight. The owner wants it perfect, and we are trying to make sure we have all the tools in place to do so. Bottom right is finally, now that we got the VR, now we've been educating people on what the model is, how to use the model. They're actually QCing those MEP systems after those trades install their fire protection lines, calling out the items that are not in the right locations before we have to go through that change order dance. So this presents the future. Superintendent asks me after we get him understanding on what is the model. Hey, can we overlay these 3D models onto the real world? Can we do AR? Me, I'm surprised because I'm like, how do you even know what AR is in the first place? And two, okay, send me this LinkedIn video that you found of somebody using AR. So this was probably back in 2023. Our VDC team looks at it. We're still not sure if we can even do it, but this poses the question. And Gamma AR responds, yes, we do AR. So Gamma AR excited me when I got on that partners call with Jeremy because they are supporting the ability to redefine what quality control really is. They're able to do that by helping us understand the design on site. That as-built information that the design team provides us ahead of the project, we're actually able to overlay this one-to-one scale ratio and start walking our guys through what we should expect and how can we start planning out our construction phases. So this is going to help us execute and standardize that execution. Everybody's not working off that tape measure in their own world, working off those columns. Now we can start actually creating punch list items. We can start using issues. We can start creating forms and assigning and referencing those in our ACC environment. And finally, we can track progress. So with our assets tool in conjunction with Gamma AR, now we can actually visually see the progress that is being completed on a job site so that we don't have to worry about pointing the finger. So now Autodesk, us, we ask, can we demo AR live? Well, with how this call's been, I really hope we can. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll hop into Gamma. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. See, that's the first step. Okay, so Kaner, I'm going to basically walk them through Gamma AR. Feel free to add any insight to this. What you guys are looking at is essentially when you hop into Gamma, the first page is going to be a projects page. I've already configured it where we can sync into our ACC environment, and Gamma is compatible with BIM 360, ACC, and anything else you can add in there, Kaner, but I'm just gonna basically let them see ACC. You can go ahead and add it, Kaner. I'll keep going through here.
Yeah, just to add a few things to that. So we support all kinds of BIM models, Navisworks models, Revit models, and RT models. And for Navisworks, also all other file formats. And this can be supported directly through ACM BIM 360 and even with the version.
Perfect. Thank you. So what you guys are going to see is basically what you see in the background of my video, my office, and hopefully augmented reality. First thing it's going to ask you is to lay out the level you're on, and then press next. And then it's going to create a floor plan based off of your 3D model. So I already have that corner. Hopefully you guys can reference that's B2 in that corner. So I'm going to go ahead and click where I want to lay out this AR overlay. It's pretty cool because you don't have to use QR coding. You basically just point this in the corner, click next. And now it's going to ask you to map this out. So I would say this is kind of similar to when I was in VR, being able to create this reference plane. Kaner, let me know if I'm saying anything out of it. That's why. All right, so I'm going to put this.
All good.
All good? Sweet. So let me put it right here. Cool. So first you're going to put your first position, coordinate, point, reference, and then you're going to do the second one. You don't have to be a perfectionist, but I really want to be perfect. And then essentially you can see those outlines are basically laying out where we are in the model. You can also position this height of adjustment if you are a little bit off because you got those baseboards. So let's see if I can get this down. Am I doing this right, Kaner, to bring it down? I'll just do check.
Yes, you can also swipe, by the way, but all good.
All right, perfect. All right, so the beautiful thing about this is that this is a 1-to-1 ratio, and you don't need any, special VR headset stuff that you have to get budgeted from your PM. So now you guys are basically getting a virtual experience of my office. Now, where this comes into play is now I can start overlaying my office with the real world and understand how do I want to correct any of these items. So as you can see, I framed jersey. I think we could position that a little bit better. So now I can actually overlay that cursor and click this create issues in the bottom right. And now it's going to take a photo of the AR world. I can go ahead and mark this up as we would in ACC, can click check, and then I can go to that real photo and make sure I add any other context here for my guys in the field. So as you can see, pretty similar to our ACC experience. This is creating an issue that will also be pushed back to ACC, and you can standardize, how you want that issue to look. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. Any of the issues information will be here. Pretty sure if I swipe down, there you go. All right. So now every time I look at that same location, you'll see that there is an issue created there. Now, the next thing that I thought was really significant about what they're doing is, well, you guys can see that my grids are there. So that really excites me because I didn't always have grids on site. The other thing is we can do progress tracking. So if I put this overlay right here, I can actually select this geometry. And there's a checkbox to the right of this bookshelf, as you can see right there. If I click it once, it's going to say that we're signing off and this is successfully installed. If I go to my nice lounge chair right here and I hold that down, hold it down, check twice, and that'll actually let everybody in the office know that there's a problem with this installation. So now that I did those two items, I'm going to go ahead and hop back into the browser so you guys can see how this all translates. So let's go here. Let's show you guys. So if I go back to my files tool, I'm actually using a Revit Cloud work shared model to do this, but you don't need to. So you can use an NWC, you can use a regular Revit file. I use both just to kind of test out the variations. I was actually pleasantly surprised. So normally what you guys will see when you hop in here is the original colors based off the materials and the Revit properties. You can see that those issues that we just created have already been assigned, and it's going to give you the same exact perspective that we created in the real world, AR world, whatever you want to call it, because I'm confused at this point. There's so many worlds, and I'm just excited that now the guys in the field can actually communicate with the guy in the computer screen. These perspectives are actually almost better than the issues that we create when we're in ACC, to be honest with you. As a VDC coordinator, it took a lot of time to kind of coordinate my, we used to call them viewpoints. So now when I actually go back into the assets module, this is where we can see those statuses. I guess I could speak to how these issues are actually created too. So once that issue is created, you'll see it's mapped out similar to how Gamma AR had it in their environment. I believe this is a Gamma sign. And Kaner, feel free to add any insight on how you guys do issues on this piece. This allows you to filter.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So exactly, we put this gamma sign in so people can just look for a filter for the icon and then find everything coming from gamma. But they will behave basically like every ACC issue behaves too, with everything, including positioning and so on. So we synchronize bidirectionally all fields. And what you see in the title is adaptable. But if you create a quick issue, that's what Emmanuel just created, then this quick issue will be automatically filled out by the title of the object, by the name at the end. But you can always adapt it to whatever you need. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. And then they have a connection to all those photos in the files tool. So if you go back to the files location, it's going to send you all those photos that you took. You could probably speak to more why it doesn't show on the photos side, Kaner, but I thought this is still pretty significant that we can utilize those photos live. All right, now that I spoke to the issues portion, I want to talk about the assets because this is where I think it's a real game changer. So as you guys saw, I quickly marked what items were installed correctly, what items were installed incorrectly. Now all those assets that are mapped back from my Revit model can actually be attributed to our progress tracking metrics. So the folks back in the office, they can filter by status. They can look at what problems arise on this specific job, this specific location. And now they can go ahead and click on the asset and add any more context that we need to, remediation, et cetera. We all know how assets work, so we can reference that information back to a file form, so that daily report, so that progress that was completed. Now we can track that. A lot of the times as a QC manager, you have testing, calibration, evaluation items that you need to take account for, and you need photos. And this is saving all those steps by including it in one single source of truth type of environment. Let me think through here. Okay, this is the last thing I wanted to show you guys, because as the VDC guy, this is where design teams can actually start collaborating with us in the field. In my Revit model, if I click the refresh button up here, now those same issues that I created in the virtual reality world, AR world, I got to get the R's right, I can start evaluating that and communicating back to my design teams on how we can, remediate these specific items. This is huge because I was actually speaking to one of our customers, and one of the things that they're having trouble with is actually being able to speak through 2D and 3D with their design teams. They've got a lot of veterans that are still working with 2D CAD files or used to looking at 2D drawings. And these assets are also able to be detailed in a sheet. So if he wants to look at, that same chair location, he can see those issues arise in this 2D form. And the folks that are designing let me go back here. The folks that are actually designing all the items on that design build type of job can update those references in Revit live and direct. So really, what I hope everybody's able to kind of see is that you're able to connect all the dots from design through construction, through the field, and even at quality control. With that being said, I think I will open it up to any questions on the demo portion while I have my screens up. So does anybody have any questions on this piece?
I had a quick question. The Revit piece, is that something you generated ahead of time, right? That wasn't generated by scanning your room with the device?
Gotcha. Yeah, I created this as-built myself. Good question.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
Awesome. If there's no other questions on, the demo portion, I'll hop back into our presentation. So let me turn this back on. Awesome. So Essentially, I wanted everybody to kind of see the return on investment that I know that my superintendents were requesting of me back in 2023 when I didn't even know we could do AR. What I've learned is that this could support with PT decks. So a lot of those penetrations that you're trying to coordinate, we had to use point cloud scanning to basically evaluate where those sleeve locations were prior to pour and after to pour, because we had to really associate the cost on who's going to take on that change when we core through those holes that we missed for those toilets that were, in those specific locations. As well as being able to work with pharmaceutical companies, being able to evaluate head wall locations in a hospital, coordinating that so that the owner gets it in the exact location that he wants. And then finally, on the VDC side, we did a lot of virtual mock-ups, and this was to make sure that our field guys could explain to the owner all the specific items that are going to be included in that exterior, interior, et cetera. So lots of different applications here. And as you can see right here, these are just some ways that Gamma AR has been able to save time and return value back to their customers.
In case you have any other questions where you need our help or support, please feel free to reach out. And Emmanuel, I have to say, you presented it awesome, definitely better than I can do. Great.
Awesome. That means a lot, Kenner. Thank you. I tried my best to make sure that AR was hopefully transitioned to the folks on the call virtually. So if there's no other questions, I really appreciate you guys hopping on. This is exciting news for me, and I can't wait to tell my old GC, like, yes, you can do AR. Not only can you do AR, but Autodesk Construction Cloud can support this going forward. So if there's nothing else, you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the time. And yeah, I'll see you guys.